Hi and a big welcome to Steve's Kitchen. Today we're going to be making an absolutely delicious meatball recipe. So follow me now, I'll show you the ingredients you need. Now in a mixing bowl I've got 750 grams of ground minced lamb. I'm using lamb. You can use beef, pork, chicken, whatever you like, but really for me the lamb has a beautiful taste. And I'm going to add a cup and a half of breadcrumbs, and these are soft breadcrumbs that I've just blitzed up in a food processor. So that's a cup and a half of breadcrumbs. I've got one brown onion which has been finely diced, that goes in the pot too. And then my herbs. I'm going to be using lamb, so I'm using mint. I've got about a couple of tablespoons of fresh mint and oregano, about a tablespoon and a half of fresh oregano. And then I'm just going to get in and start by mixing this with a spatula, and then I'll get my hands in there. Actually, it's easier just to get your hands in. Now, one ingredient I put into this, because I like my meatballs to bite back a little bit, is some chopped red chilies. It's optional. I'm going to put it in there. I've got about a tablespoon of fresh chopped red chilies. Now just roughly mix that through, and now I'm going to add a whole egg. That'll help bind the meatballs together. And of course a healthy amount of crushed white salt and white pepper. I'm using white pepper for these because I think it just tastes a little nicer. Use white pepper or black pepper, entirely up to you. And again, get your hands in and start to mix that mixture through. And once you've mixed that to a nice smooth meatball paste, we're just going to pop that in the fridge for 30 minutes to cool down. It'll make it easier to handle. Now a little tip on cooling meat in the fridge: if you pop it into the fridge and squeeze it round into sort of like a donut shape rather than just in a big ball, it will cool a lot quicker because there's more surface area. Just cover that over in the fridge, 30 minutes, it should be cold enough to handle. So while the meat chills, I'll start to make the sauce for our meatballs. So I've got a couple of tablespoons of olive oil warming in a pan here, and I'm just going to add another chopped brown onion. Let's turn that heat down a little bit. And then I'm going to add, I've got 3 cloves of garlic, which I've just chopped up coarsely, and I don't want to burn those, so keep stirring. Now I've just sweated the onions and the garlic together in the oil, and now I'm going to add 1 whole tin of chopped tomatoes. Now I've got chopped peeled diced tomatoes. Chopped tomatoes. Just mix those through. Then I'm going to add my herbs. I've got a little dried oregano because my garden's not producing enough fresh oregano, and some a couple of tablespoons of chopped mint. And because we're using tomatoes, I'm just going to add a teaspoon of brown sugar just to take the acidity out of the tomatoes. But I'm also going to add about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, a rich tomato paste, just for a little extra tomato flavour. Then again for flavour, I'm just going to add a stock. Now you can use any meat stock or even a vegetable stock. I've got 1 cup here of meat stock, just popping that in there, a little extra flavour, a little extra sauce. And then we'll add half a teaspoon of salt. And now we're just going to leave this to simmer away for about 20 minutes on the stove while we continue to make our meatballs. So now I'm just going to prepare my meatballs, but before I do, I want a little bit of flour just to cover the meatballs once they're made. So I've got 1/4 cup of flour, and I'm just going to be adding about half a teaspoon of smoked paprika into the flour. It adds a lovely flavour. It's really delicious. It is optional. And then a little bit of salt. Then we'll just mix that seasoning together. And then we're just going to take our ground meatball mixture and you're just going to roll it into a ball. Now, I make them usually about the size of a golf ball. When you've got them to that size, just roll them gently, just a little dusting of the flour. The flour will help them brown nicely when we fry them and adds a little extra flavour, a little crispy surface to the meatballs. Now here I have a shallow frying pan with a little cooking oil. It doesn't have to be olive oil for this, we're just browning off the meatballs. And I'm going to take my meatballs and just lay them in the oil. And we're going to be turning them and browning the surface, getting a nice crispy surface to all of these meatballs. Now to allow the meatball to cook there nice and dark like that, that gives lots of extra flavour, the caramelised surface. And then we can take that meatball and add it into our sauce over here and allow that to cook on for another 20 minutes or half an hour just to absorb the flavours from the sauce and to give flavours off into the sauce, of course. As always, the ingredients are down in the description bar, and if you want to reduce the amount of meatballs, easily half this recipe. I've done 750 grams of meatballs. You might just want to do it for a couple of you, in which case you're just using maybe 300 grams. Quite easy to adjust the recipe down. And there you have rich, beautiful meatballs served in a tomato sauce with mint and oregano. I'm just going to cover those over now and let them cook through for another half an hour. Just very low heat with a lid on. So we're just going to serve these meatballs now on a bed of pasta, and we're going to grate a little bit of Parmesan cheese on them. They smell absolutely divine. So let me just try this for you. Let's just tuck into one of these meatballs and give you the verdict. Ah, heavenly. Comment down below if you like lamb, if you've ever had a lamb meatball, or whether you prefer beef. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'll put my subscription button here for anyone that wants to subscribe to the channel and stay in touch. As always guys, thanks for joining me. Have a great day. See you next time. Be good. Now look at that. They are absolutely delicious. The smell, they're piping hot still. I absolutely can't wait. If you're looking at these now and you love pretzels, you're going to have to rush out and get yourself a pretzel hit from somewhere, or get and make your own, just like these. They taste wonderful.